Generally, we use Azure SQL Database credentials to access all the database there. But sometimes we need to enhance the security. For this, we use Azure Key Vault. So we store all the credentials at another place and then we transfer the data from one location to another case. So now in this case study, we will transfer the data or relocate the data from one location, means Azure SQL Database to ADLS Gen2 location. So here you can see, first and foremost, we need to understand what is Azure Key Vault. So Azure Key Vault is a cloud service for securely storing and accessing secrets. A secret is anything that you want to tightly control access to, such as API keys, passwords, certificates, and cryptography keys. For example, we want to access our database or files or structure CSV files, but we want to give some extra security. For this extra security, we use Key Vault. So this Key Vault is stored inside Microsoft Azure itself. So now we can see, this is the diagram where we can see Azure developer is using keys which is stored at somewhere inside the Azure itself, and it's Azure responsibility to secure this Azure Key Vault. Now if anyone wants to access this database, or they will have to fetch or copy or transfer any data set, they will have to ask to the administrator whether whether this database is accessible to me or not. So here you can see administrator with Azure subscription creates and manage vault keys. In order to perform this activity, we need to perform certain steps. First, I'm going to create Azure SQL Database resource, number 1. Second, I'm going to create ADLS Gen2 resource inside the Azure portal. Number 3, I'm going to create ADF instances, and number 4, I'm going to create Azure Key Vault instance where I'll store all my credentials. So first 4 parts are done, then I'll assign my access to Azure Key Vault, that this is the particular ADF where I want to access, or anyone can transfer or copy using this Key Vault key. Now eventually I'm going to run copy activity using Azure Key Vault instance. Okay, so let's do all these steps one by one. Let's practice it here. Here you can see I'm going to perform this. I just perform this copy activity, and here we have the source as the Azure SQL database and the sink which is ADLS Gen 2. Alright. So inside this data activity, so copy activity, I just taken as the source my SQL database, and if you want to see the data here, so you can see all the data set here, which is sales lt.address. If I want to show this data set inside the administration part, inside the SQL database, so I can go here inside this SQL database. If I can see, this is the, here we can see sales.address, all the columns are showing here at the bottom, and on the left pane you can see sales.address file is there. So I can see this is also stored or located in my destination folder. Here we have the sales lt.address txt. So I have done this part using the secret key. If I go to the monitor manage, so I can see this is the Azure Key Vault and killing service, and here I'm going to use SQL database. If I go here down, so can you see I didn't use the password which is taken from SQL server, rather I have used Azure Key Vault. So let's go and let's go one by one all these steps and just delete. I'm just going to delete all the resources and we'll create all the instances from the scratch. Let's do it. All right. So I have just created this Azure Data Factory. The name of ADF is ADF Test 1 Keyword Secret Keys. Now I'm going to create SQL Server. Before this, I'll have to create Azure SQL. So I'm going to create Azure SQL here. So create SQL source. So inside this, I'll select this first option, SQL database. So I'm going to create this one. So here you can see this is the my paid subscription. I'll select my resource group test1, and I'm going to select my date SQL database test1. I'm going to keep this name. So I do not have any servers, I'll have to create new. So I'm going to create SQL server test1. So I'm going to change my location name here, so which is Central India. So let's select Central India here. So I'm going to select this Central India. So let's change this name also. Now that's it. So I'm going to create use SQL authentication. So let's put some server, keep these username, admin, login and password, because you will have to put this login name and password while accessing your database. So I'm going to create Kumar 365 hash. So I'm going to create this Kumar 365 hash. So this would be the database name and credential. Now if we have this name, and I'm going to click OK here. Now I just created this next. I'm not going to change anything here. So if you want to see the connectivity, so I'm going to create the public endpoint. So I'm going to create allow Azure service resource to access this tier. So I'm going to enable it yes. Add current IP address yes. So I'm going to create all these things here. So if I'm going to add next security, so I'm going to create the security part not, and I'm going to use this next addition setting. So I'm going to create it sample, click OK here, and then going to tag. So I'm not going to keep any tag here. So just finally I'm going to create this SQL database. So here it will take some times. So meanwhile I can go to the home option and will click on storage account. So this time I'm going to create storage account ADLS Gen2. So I'm going to create this ADLS inside resource group test1. So this is the resource group storage test1. So if I'm selecting next, so I'm going to select this enable hierarchy namespace, click next, and then click next, and finally I create review and create. So it will enable all my settings. All right. So now I have done this part. The second thing, first I had just created my ADF. Second, I created my SQL database. Now I had created the ADLS Gen 2. Now I'm going to create Key Vault, where I'll store all my credentials. So I'm going to create this Key Vault here. So inside this Key Vault, I'm going to select the same resource group and this Key Vault. So key Vault and search in. I'm going to create this if it is already there. So I'm going to create test1, and then I'm going to select the Central India again. So now click OK. So can you see Vault access policy? I'll have to make change here. So this is the first change I'm going to make inside the Key Vault. Now I'm going to allow uh, check all these options: virtual machines deployment, resource manager, key disk encryption, everything here. That's it. These two changes are already required, or only required. So I'm going to click next, and review and create finally. All right. So once I have done this create, so it's being created. So let's go back to the SQL database. Okay, it's still in the under development process. Can you see this is the storage Sachin database ADLS Gen 2. Go to the left pane. Inside the storage browser, I have the container. Inside this, I'll create the container. I'll create the output container, and this will be created here. Now inside this output container, I'm going to upload, or I'm going to add a directory. So I'm going to create output directory, and let's save it. Inside this output directory, I'm going to upload a file. This file is just browse our file. I'm going to navigate inside or sorry, so I'm not going to save upload any data set because I want to paste that SQL Server database here. So the movement would be from SQL database to the output container here. So here we can see it's still under the deployment condition. Let's go back to the Key Vault process. Here it's already completed. So go to the Key Vault here. So go to the secrets at the left hand side. You can see this is the secret. So I'm going to generate this secret here. So this is the name. So I'm going to create secret test 1. So keep some password comma 365 hash for you. This might be different, and that's it. You can set the activation date, set the expiration date, everything you can set it here, and let's create it here. Now you can see it's already created within fraction of seconds. And go to the left and go to the access policies. So inside the access policy, it's already given this part, but I'm going to show from the scratch how to create this access policy. Inside this access policy, you can see several permissions. So I'm going to check all the permissions because I want to allow all the permission to my users. So I'm going to click OK, and next. So here I'll have to search, I'll have to assign ADF to access my keyword, or this keyword would be access, or want to tell the users that you can access ADF using this keyword. So I'll have to navigate this ADF here. So what is the ADF name? ADF test 1. This is the ADF name. So I'm going to search ADF test 1. So if I go here, can you see it's showing here? So this data set, this part is there. So I just selected this item here. So if I go here, go to the next, go to the application, which is optional, and finally create it. So here you can see created, and also you can see it's also giving permissions and giving certification, key, secret permission, everything to my ADF. So we will use this permission while creating while accessing integration runtime inside the ADF. So I'm going to create a new pipeline. Inside this new pipeline, I'm going to create a copy activity. All right. So now before this, I'll have to go to the manage, and I'll have to create the integration runtime. So or link service. So I'm going to create a link service. So for this, I'm going to use the SQL database. So I'm going to SQL database here, and I'm going to use SQL underscore link service or link service underscore SQL. All right. So I'm going to create Azure subscription. So this is the Azure subscription. I'm going to select the server name. This is the server name, and this is the database name. I'm going to select this database name. All right. So this time I'm going to provide the server name, username, login, which we have provided there. So if you go back here, go to the inside the SQL database, which is now completed. On the left pane, select the query editor, and can you see this is the login and this is the password. Click OK. It is logging in my service. Sometimes it's giving error. What kind of error? It's asking to access this current IP address. So what you'll have to do, you will have to access that IP address, your current on premises IP address, your laptop IP address. How would you search your laptop IP address? Just go to the Google, search on my IP address, click on the first link. Inside this first link, it's checking your local IP version. Here is the local version. So what is the next point? You just go to the home. Over the home option, you will find SQL Server. So click on SQL Servers. So inside the servers, inside the server test 1, I'm going to click the networking. So inside the networking, I'm going to click the access point. Can you see this is going to show firewall rules? So can you see this is showing my current static IP address 49.43.169.895. Can you see? Is it the same IP address? Yes, it is the same IP address. So this is currently allowed. If it is not allowed, so what you will do, you will just go here inside the add your IP address, remove all this stuff here and copy this IP address here like I'm doing here, copy and Control A, delete everything here, paste it here, and just save it. I'm not going to save it because it's already assigned here. So if you are saying adding one more time, that's not an issue. I can save it, but that's an extra step. That would be extra step. So I'm going to close this SQL server now. I'm going to navigate my tables. So here I'm going to show all the tables here. So here I'm going to select SQL LT address, select few rows, show few rows. Here we can see all the rows are showing here, rows and column. Now, if you want to see the output container, it's showing here inside there, it's showing here. Now I'm going to click on this part. This is the SQL server. Now this time I'm not going to use SQL server credentials. Rather, I'm going to select Azure Key Vault. So this is showing Azure Key Vault, and this time I do not have any link service, Azure Key Vault link service. So I'm going to create Azure Key Vault link service. So it's Azure Key Vault link service. I'm going to select my subscription, going to select my SQL Azure Key Vault name, and this is the system assigned. If you want to check the connection, so that should be success because you have given the permission. The most common error in while failing this test connection is you do not give the proper connection, proper access to your key vault. Kindly give proper access, kindly give ADF access under the access policy. Kindly give the proper secret keys, all the allow all the permissions here. Alright, so once it is completed, you can create this part and you can create the latest version. So if you want to see the secret name, this is the showing secret name, my secret current name. I'm going to select version. If you have the latest version, so you can select the latest version, or if you made any changes inside the Key Vault, you can select this part as well. So I'm going to select this part and test this connection again. So if it is success, then you can proceed further. If it is not success, then you will have to check where is the problem. All right, so I'm going to check other parts. Let's wait for some time. Yes, can you see it's a connections will successful. So congratulations, you can go ahead to the next part. Let's create this value. Go to the author. Inside this author, I'm going to create the database now. So inside this database, first I'm going to select the SQL database. So can you see this? It's showing SQL, Azure SQL database. I'm going to click continue. Going to select this link service SQL, and if I'm going to show, this is showing all my addresses. So this will show all the your table names. One and only you have completed all the success connections previously, all the steps successfully in previous part. If anyone is failed, if any text connection is failed, these table names won't show here. As far as these custom tables are concerned, if you are creating any custom tables inside this SQL database, so it will also show here. But if your connection is failed, you cannot show, or these tables won't be shown. This is the thumb rule that you have performed all these steps earlier very clearly. So I'm going to select my address table here, click none because I do not want to import a schema. So I'm going to click OK here. That's the first database set we had created inside the ADS. Now I'm going to create the data set here. Click new set. I'm going to create lake service ADLS Gen2. I'm going to click OK. Click CSV file. OK. I'm going to select the new link service. So this is the ls underscore ADLS underscore Gen2. This is the second keyword. So I'm going to select Azure subscription. This is the Azure subscription. This is the storage name which I want to paste where I want to destination, and I'm going to check my connection. If it is everything everything is fine, it will show connection success here. All right, so now I can go here to the next part. Here I'm going to create this link service. That's it. Now you can browse your file where you want to put your folder, your CSV file. I'm going to create a directory. Click OK. Now I do not want to put schema. Click OK. Click OK here. Now go to the pipeline. Okay, one more thing I want to show here. Can you see this is the SQL database? And okay, so that would be done in the next step. I'm going to create new pipeline here. Here inside this copy activity, I have the source. Inside this source, I'm going to select SQL database. So if you want to see the data currently, so here it's showing all the address related data set, rows and column. If you go down, you will find others rows also. So here I can see the data which is connection successfully completed. If I want to show the sync part, here you can see this is the sync part. Or if you want to see the mapping option, here you are going to import schema. So it will import your everything. So here you can see every columns is showing here. So if you want to change any column part, every column data string, everything there, so you can change that part also. One more thing, here inside the sync you can see the file extension. If you want to make it CSV, you can make it CSV also. So now I'm going to save. Everything looks fine. I can publish all 5 instances. I can publish so that if anything wrong, any non logic thing or illogical things is doing here, I can see here. So can you see it's a green flag, green publishing completed. I can validate now. Everything is fine here. No error were found. Your pipeline has been validated. Close. Now you can debug this copy activity. Let's wait for some few seconds. It will take time because your data set is moving to this location. What is the source part? Source part is SQL database. Here we have SQL database. What is the destination part? This container. Inside this storage, uh, inside this ADLS storage, inside this container, inside this output container, inside this output directory. Can you see, meanwhile we were checking our ADLS, it just pasted that file. If I click on this file, here I can see the edit part. All these rows are just copied. That's it. Can you see this Key Vault is successfully connected also. If you want to monitor your manage your part, here we have all these link services. If you want to show integration runtime, only auto resolved integration runtime we have used. Reason being because all the instances are Azure related. All the instances are connected inside the Azure only. We are not connecting any on premises resource. This is the reason we do not require any on-premises integration runtime or any other. If you want self-hosted for performing external computing, so you can go for this Azure self-hosted. Then you can go for data movement external and pipeline activity in fully serverless computed or on-premises computed. So we do not have such scenario. This is the reason it's only dealing with auto resolve integration runtime. As far as author is concerned, inside we have the copy activity and we can see everything is just copied using the Azure Key Vault. That's it. Here you can see all these parts. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining. Thank you.